Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. Yes, this is a talking head video, but I'll have a normal one tomorrow or the next day. Either way, this video is about some pretty huge controversy that started on Twitter a few days back about an email from Nvidia to Hardware Unboxed. Well, Nvidia has since responded to the outcry of gamers, but let's first go over what happened. For those who follow me on Twitter, you likely already saw my post on it, but if you didn't, it all started with a tweet from Hardware Unboxed. In that tweet, he stated, Nvidia has officially decided to ban us from receiving GeForce Founders Edition GPU review samples. Their reasoning is that we are focusing on rasterization instead of ray tracing. They have said they will revisit this, quote, should your editorial direction change. Now, they actually said quite a few things that are even worse than that. Here is the original email. It says, hi Steve, we've reached a critical junction in the adoption of ray tracing, and it has gained industry-wide support from top titles, developers, game engines, APIs, consoles, and GPUs. As you know, Nvidia is all in for ray tracing, and that right there is definitely really important. I'll probably come back to that in a second. Ray tracing is important and core to the future of gaming, but it's also one part of our focused R&D efforts on revolutionizing video games and creating a better experience for gamers. This philosophy is also reflected in developing technologies such as DLSS, Reflex, and Broadcast that offer immense value to customers who are purchasing a GPU. They don't get free GPUs, they work hard for their money, and they keep their GPUs for multiple years. Really quickly, that right there was probably because Nvidia knew Hardware Unboxed would be sharing this, and that's basically just for PR, just to kind of say, oh, well, you know, they don't get them for free, which I will go over that in just a second, but let's kind of finish this up. Despite all this progress, your GPU reviews and recommendations have continued to focus singularly on rasterization performance, and you have largely discounted all of the other technologies we offer gamers. It is very clear from your community commentary that you do not see things the same way that we, gamers, and the rest of the industry do. Wow. 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 Such a ridiculous statement just to make Hardware Unboxed feel like they're in the minority here, which they absolutely are not. A ton of people aren't all that interested in ray tracing. Ray tracing still absolutely demolishes performance in games. So it's really, it's absolutely hilarious, to be honest, that Nvidia is so wholly bent on this. Yet for so many years, and even today with their new really high hertz, high frame rate monitors, have always talked about, you know, high FPS. And now all of a sudden they're touting this new feature that completely demolishes it. Now, DLSS absolutely helps, but it doesn't bring back all the performance, and there are some issues some gamers have with that. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off track. I want to finish this up. It says our Founders Edition boards and other Nvidia products are being allocated to media outlets that recognize the changing landscape of gaming and the features that are important to gamers and anyone buying a GPU today, be it for gaming, content creation, or studio and streaming. Hardware Unboxed should continue to work with our add-in card partners to secure GPUs to review. Of course, you will still have access to obtain pre-release drivers and press materials. That won't change. We are open to revisiting this in the future should your editorial direction change. Wow, there's a ton of things to unpack here, and a bunch of other reviewers have done it as well, but I'm going to kind of touch on it from my opinion and just kind of explain why this is such a horrible thing. Now, first up, I want to go back to, and this is actually one of the only things that I've seen kind of argued for Nvidia and against Hardware Unboxed getting GPUs, is this idea of free GPUs. And of course, they state it right here intentionally for this very reason. But the simple fact, and I believe Jay's 2 cents kind of mentioned this a little bit, is that Nvidia isn't doing this out of the kindness of their heart. And they aren't really free. Nvidia is simply doing this for publicity. Think of it as almost like a sponsor. They're getting themselves out there, they're getting it seen more and more, and unlike a sponsor, this is technically a dedicated video. So this idea that Nvidia is doing it for free is absurd, and the idea that YouTubers or media outlets or whatever it may be are getting free GPUs is somewhat a misnomer. The simple fact is that you have to work really, really hard to get a YouTube channel or whatever it may be up to the kind of views where Nvidia or these other companies actually start to take notice. It's really hard. It requires a lot of work, really a ton of work, where you're basically getting way less than minimum wage and things like that just to build this up at the off chance you may get the views required to for a company to take enough notice that they send you a GPU. So once again, the idea that these are free GPUs really isn't there. You're working really hard, sometimes 2, 3 or more AM in the morning. I can even contest to getting a GPU or CPU or whatever it is review ready to show everyone, and the fact that you had to work incredibly hard to for these companies to take notice. They are not doing this just to be nice. They're doing this for publicity. This is a pure by the numbers thing. And really quickly, I wanted to interject and say, don't get me wrong, I 100% am so incredibly blessed to be able to do the things that I do and to have such an incredible audience. And I'm thankful every day for all of my viewers. So I'm not at all complaining or anything like that. I'm just saying it isn't exactly free. So with that out of the way, I want to discuss why this is such a horrible notion. For one, Nvidia knows for a fact that their best performance is when ray tracing is turned on, and it's something that they've heavily focused on. And really quickly, the idea that they say that it's the core to the future of gaming is nothing but an opinion. They don't know. They're just, as they say themselves, are all in for ray tracing. So if something happens where it doesn't become the future, and it very well may not be, or at least get the kind of adoption that Nvidia really wants to see, they could really be hurt here, especially since they've clearly invested a ton of money for it to happen. But anyway, because of the fact that Nvidia knows that this is where they get the best performance, they're wanting reviewers to only focus on ray tracing. And that isn't a good thing, because there's still a ton of games that do not support ray tracing in any way. Now, obviously, one could argue that it is the future, and there are tons of developers doing it, though of course Nvidia is likely paying for quite a bit of these. But hey, that could inevitably be the future, and it certainly looks like it is. But as of right now, the vast majority of games do not support ray tracing. So this idea that you should only focus or heavily focus on ray tracing is absurd. And it really just boils down to Nvidia saying, hey, you're not getting a card if you don't listen and do this exactly how I want to make us look better. That's trying to control the reviews, and to be honest, I really think people don't understand the repercussions that this would have. People would say, hey, well, you just aren't going to be getting GPUs, so, you have the money to go out and buy more, so who even cares anyway? Well, everyone is seeing this, and Nvidia knew that they would. Now, I don't think they expected the kind of backlash that they got, but they're basically hoping other reviewers who not only get GPUs, but are hoping one day they will get GPUs, are going to look at this and go, oh crap, if we ever want to get GPUs from Nvidia, we've got to do this. Or reviewers who already get GPUs who can't afford to buy new ones, or who don't want to for obvious reasons, will likely look at this and go, okay, we got to make some changes. So this is a way that will actually affect the entire industry as a whole. And it's basically Nvidia trying to affect reviews in their favor. And that is not okay. Period. It's not okay. I'm 100% against this. I rarely do opinion pieces like this, but to be honest, all of the backlash is what they absolutely deserve. Now, with all of that out of the way, and I know I kind of went on a tangent there, and really I could discuss it for significantly more, but that was just a quick overview. We do have good news. It looks like Nvidia has officially apologized and basically backtracked on everything that they said. As you can see here, Brian Del Rizzo from Nvidia reached out a second time. This isn't the first time they actually apologized over here, but they ended up reaching out again and actually asked them to share it with everyone. Now, they did that for obvious reasons, but I'll get to that in a second. And they did state that they do appreciate that Nvidia did this, and I would agree with that, and I'll kind of also get to that in a second, but here's what they said. Hi Steve, thanks for your note. I just wanted to say again how sorry I am for my original email. I overstepped my bounds, and it's as simple as that. I love seeing all the ways reviewers test and report on our products, and I value your contributions. Suggesting that I would withhold samples because I didn't agree with your commentary is simply inexcusable and crossed the line. I failed myself, my colleagues, and the amazing community of reviewers I consider my friends. You all work so hard in service of the gaming industry we love, you deserve better from me. I hope you will forgive my mistake and give me the opportunity to be of service to you in the future. It would be great if you can share this with your fans so they know how I feel. Now, as many of you know, and yes, I didn't mention earlier I have shade, but I'm growing it back out. Absolutely hated it. Anyway, as you can see, actually, let's just go back here. They did make an apology, completely backtracked on everything, and I do want to say that this is a good thing. If you look at the comments, everyone's saying, oh, this is just, you know, a marketing ploy, or not a ploy. I mean, everyone understands that they will obviously be giving Hardware Unboxed review units and are basically backtracking on what they said. But here's the thing, that is a good thing. The simple fact is, in a way, it might be sincere in the fact that they are really upset that this happened and it completely and royally backfired. So, I mean, obviously this isn't some heartfelt thing. It's not like his opinion completely changed. They will 100% still feel the same way that they do in that first email, but they are backtracking on what they said, which is the goal of all the outcry. Now, you can obviously feel that, you know, angry at the company and don't want to buy a GPU right now. Or I understand that. And of course, that is your right. But this is a good thing to see an apology and to see them backtrack. This is obviously a PR move, but it's a company. Almost everything is a PR move, and that's actually completely fine because that's the goal of everyone getting angry about this. It doesn't matter why they're not doing it. Every company only sends out products for effectively hoping for PR. I mean, that's why they do it. They aren't doing it out of the kindness of their heart. So them backtracking and apologizing, no matter how sincere it is very important, and it's exactly the goal. And the fact that they are backtracking and doing all of this should hopefully reverse. And obviously they did say to share it, and that's because they want people to know, oops, we goofed. We're going back. So I will say that I do think people should be happy that they went back, and they should applaud them at least for that, just because if you're so going to be just as angry at them when they do exactly what you want, then that's just going to tell them in the future, well, we're just going to do what we think is best. We're not going to listen to them at all, because even when I do listen to them, they're still mad. So I do think this is a good thing. No, it isn't sincere, and oh, you know, they obviously make it way more heartfelt than it probably really is to them. But regardless, this is a good thing. Still, it is quite annoying that they tried to do this to begin with, but hopefully this will be, you know, kind of a lesson to say, hey, any other companies that are trying to really influence reviews in their favor, yeah, don't do that. We're going to be mad about that. So that, of course, is important. And the fact that they backtrack, once again, is important. So anyway, that's kind of my super long drawn out opinion on it. It is great, like I said, at least in my opinion, to see that Nvidia's backtrack on this. But of course, what do you think? Is Nvidia still going to try this in the future? Which they might, but this is at least a good sign that they've given up for now. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please subscribe. And as always, have a great day.